I wanted to start by asking about the genesis of the film because it's my understanding that you learned about and read Arnold Wesker's play while you were working at a rainforest cafe in London, right? So, can you tell us about that and your experience working in a restaurant and how that may have shaped the film that we just saw?
Yeah, so I mean, it's you've said it. I I was studying acting in London, and I I got a job at the Rainforest Cafe in Piccadilly Circus because they said there were good tips there, and so I worked there for like the first year that I was in school, and then I moved to a bar. But I mean, that's kind of where I was where I became fascinated with kitchens and the drama of kitchens and the rhythm of kitchens and the multicultural experience that is very vibrant and so that's also where I first encountered the play when I was in drama school. So this film is based on a 1950s play by this British playwright Arnold Wesker, who wrote this very much out of his personal experiences in working in a kitchen. I read Wesker's diaries that kind of formed the basis of the play, and you know the way he describes the pressure, the insults, the drama. I think it's all there in the play, and it's kind of what I saw every day when I was working there, and what made encountering the play made the working days kind of bearable, and so yeah, that's where I first fell in love with this material. And I mean I have to say that the film is quite departed from the play, but I think it holds like the essence of it.
So you mentioned that you wanted this to be your first feature, but it's your fourth. But there is a direct connection with your first in that it's also shot in black and white, which is part of what, I mean, the movie looks absolutely gorgeous in that. And I'm curious, at what point did you decide to shoot it in black and white? Did you intend that from the get-go, or is that something you came up with later on? But it's such a great choice. I'm curious how you landed on that.
It was the very first thing I wrote on the script. It was the images in black and white, and it's a very stupid choice. It's a suicidal, commercially it's a suicidal choice. It really is. Like now that we're distributing the film, we've come across how fucking stupid that decision is.
Oh, you did it on your very first film, Weddles, and here you are with your fourth, though, so you got lucky.
Learn, man. I can't learn. But yeah, but I just had to do it that way. It was just like, I saw it in black and white, and it was just like I always saw it in black and white. And then you have to come up with smart-ish answers to persuade the producers of this stupid choice, and what I came up with was that I mean, one thing that is true is that I did want it to be timeless, that not timeless in like a pompous way, but like you can't really know whether this is happening now or 20 or 30 years ago. There's like elements of I mean, we designed the whole thing to be unspecific in when it's happening.
Yeah, you can't quite tell the time period. Yeah.
So there's no cell phones. Like I went through a lot of pains to eliminate cell phones. I fucking hate because we already spend all this time with them every day, and then in movies we have to go and look at people looking at cell phones.
See, this is why I told you to turn off your phones before the film started.
So I haven't used cell phones in 3 of my movies, and so yeah, it's like a cell phone free space for me. So I did want that, and the black and white helps with erasing. I mean, also because it talks about kind of timeless themes. I mean, the quote from Thoreau that the film opens with is like 170 years old, and he's already talking about, he's at the birth of capitalism, thinking if this goes unchecked, we're fucked. And it's still, I think it's still so relevant today, that quote. So timelessness was something important, and I think black and white really helps with that. And also because it helped me frame it as a sort of a fable. You know, it does it I wanted it to go beyond realism. Um, and so I think the black and white, and then obviously it allowed for these two moments of color to really stand out. So yeah, but more importantly, it was a very, I love black and white photography, and it, because I think it makes the audience, the viewer, a participant in completing the image. Your brain is working out the colors, and I mean that's, you know, obviously subconsciously, but it makes you engage with the film in a different way, I think.
Audience member, a fellow Mexican who's been following your career, admires your editing quite a bit. So could you talk a little bit about the post-production and your editorial decisions in the film?
Yeah. Well, I work very closely. I've worked with the same editor for over 12 years now. Gibran Asuar, I think he's the greatest editor I know. And he's like, he does a lot of really cool Mexican independent films. He's like, I call him like the midwife of Mexican cinema, because he really is like a guy that I've worked with other editors in TV and in shorts who they have their own agenda, and you know, they want to put their voice in the film, and Gibran is not like that. He's really selfless, but in a good way. But I mean, he has a strong personality, but he wants to really wants to understand the film that you're making. So working with Gibran is like, it's the most pleasant part of making films. And he will work very closely together. I mean, I think I'd first say that rhythm is something that is it is a dance. It's something that you cannot fully create in post, even though I know that Gibran disagrees with this, but I think if the rhythm isn't there even on the page, it's very hard to get it to really lift off. I mean, you can do miracles in the editing suite, but I believe in like planting the rhythms on the page, and it's something that I'm very aware of. And this film was structured, again, this was like not explicit, it was, you know, in my notes, but it was structured musically rather than in dramatic arcs. So I thought of it as I mean, I don't mean it to sound pompous, but in my head, I thought of it as a symphony, because I wanted the first part to be like the first movement of a symphony in which all the themes are presented, and then the second movement, they're complicated. You find complexity in that, and then the third movement is an adagio, which would be like when they come out of the after the lunch rush, the rhythm goes way down, and then the fourth rhythm brings it slowly back up to a conclusion. So I did very much structure it like in a musical way in my head, and that was there from the writing, and also the rhythm on set is very important. It's something that if the rhythm isn't there in the acting and the way the actors are playing off each other, you can speed things up in editing, but I think it always shows when you speed something that is naturally slow. There's a jarring thing there. I don't know, but so it's a mixture of both. And for that particular sequence of the insults, that was Gibran. Like, he's a genius, and we went through many iterations of that, because what I did was we shot like 12-minute takes on each actor, just going like, and so then we had to, that was a huge puzzle, knowing who cut to which, the eye lines, all of that. I mean, that was a nightmare to edit, but it was fun.
So, two questions. First one is about the sound design of the film, and in particular the scene in the alleyway, where the man is telling the story, and then all the audio kind of goes out, and we just hear his voice. Can you talk about just the sound design of the film, maybe that scene in particular?
Yeah. So I mean, for me, the sound design is like, yeah, it's a holiday because like all the hard stuff is behind me. So I really enjoy sound design, and I get very involved. I've worked with the same sound designer as well, Javier Umpierres, and mixed with Jaime and Michel, who are amazing. Yeah, they're geniuses, and yeah, it's a very pleasant process for me. I work a lot doing sometimes Foley's with Javier, and we do like many iterations of it. And for that scene in particular, I wanted the sound to go, like the ambient sound to disappear little by little. And originally we were gonna doblar?
Yeah, dub.
Dub that scene, but which I had done in Güeros before, a scene that doesn't have background noise, doesn't have room tone, which are very weird. I mean, when you take out the room tone, it becomes unreal, and yeah. And so I wanted to do that for this, but in a gradual way. But we shot in the noisiest fucking location in New York City. That alley was so noisy. And but I mean, now technology is just like Javier, the designer. He's always like looking for the latest shit, and he was like, and he said to me, "Hey man, I just found this new plugin that cancels like you can really handpick the sound." I mean, and that's we've had that for some years, but this one was brand new, and it was like incredible. So we bought the thing, and we tried, and obviously you have to do different things to the voice. You have to modulate it and bring back the lower tones, and so that's Jaime and Michel doing a lot of really invisible makeup on the voice to make it, but it really cancels out everything else, and it's uncanny. So we didn't have to dub that. That's the original sound from the take, and it's incredible.
And can you talk a little bit about Rooney Mara and her involvement with the film? How did you reach out to her and all that?
Well, so I mean, I guess I start with just a little quick story that I spent, I don't know, before my first, maybe like 13, 14 years ago, me and my wife went to New York for a holiday on Christmas, and we had very little money, and we spent Christmas Eve on like we didn't know anybody, we couldn't have like a proper big meal, so we went to a multiplex. That was our Christmas Eve in Times Square, and to watch a movie late at night. And as I went to the dulceria. How do you say it?
The bakery.
The concession.
Concessions.
Yeah.
The concession store at the theater.
Store,
yeah, concessions.
To buy some popcorn, I realized that the carpet was like mushy and squishy. I was like, as I came out, I realized as I came closer that it was flooded. It was like the whole thing was flooded. And I came closer still, and I realized that the soda machine, the cherry Coke machine, was broken and was like running like a spring, like a supernatural spring or something. It was like just flowing and flooding the whole fucking place. And I was like, how can this carry on endlessly like this, like where's this cherry Coke coming from? And I told the guy who was serving the popcorn, I said to him, "Hey man, the machine's broken." And he just looked at me and said, "Yeah, I know." And he carried on serving my popcorn. And that to me was like the perfect image of late capitalism, that this kind of like nobody paying any attention to this waste, endless waste. And so that kind of stuck with me. And the film we went to see that night was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo with Rooney Mara. And when we came out, I told my wife, one day I'm going to work with her. So yeah, this is it.